everybody, and welcome back to another Coaster Cheetah video. And in this video, I'll be doing a coaster review for Fahrenheit at Hershey Park, which is an awesome, one-of-a-kind Intamin vertical lift coaster. So yeah, let's get right into it by going over the coaster's layout. So you start off by climbing the awesome vertical lift hill. And this lift will take you up 121 feet, and I do love this vertical lift. Vertical lift hills are always just a very fun element and a nice way to add like a special moment to a lift hill, because usually they're boring elements, but on vertical lifts they're actually pretty even like scary sometimes. So yeah, then you plunge down the 97-degree drop. That is where this coaster gets its catchphrase or whatever, which is 97 degrees and falling fast. So yeah, the drop on this coaster is pretty great. You don't get a ton of airtime because of the restraints, however you get a decent amount, plus obviously that well beyond vertical drop is great. And then you go up a Norwegian loop, which basically it's like a dive loop, except you twist one way. So on this coaster you go up and then kind of bank to the right, but then you snap to the left and go down. So it's basically like a dive loop, but with kind of like a twist beforehand. So it's kind of like a more snappier dive loop, which I do like. Then you go up an Immelman right after. And then again, right after the Immelman, you drop down into a Cobra roll, so back to back to back inversions. And then after the Cobra roll, you go into an extremely whippy double corkscrew, which is just outstanding. All the inversions on this coaster just all together, almost like they're melted together into one huge inversion. And then after this double corkscrew, you go into the best airtime moment on the ride, which is an incredible ejector hill right after the double corkscrew. It's just an insane airtime hill, and I can't even imagine how much airtime it would give you if you had like the new next-gen trains found on like the Intamin multi-launch coasters. I think that would be insane, because it already is insane on this. But then you go down into like almost like a miniature helix, and then you rise up for a little pop of almost like floater airtime, and then you hit the brakes. So all around a pretty short layout. However, this ride is focused on obviously that vertical lift and the beyond vertical drop, and then the 6 inversions on the ride. So it's not really meant to be a long ride, but it is very punchy and does maintain its speed all the way through, which brings me to my likes and dislikes about this ride. As I just talked about, the pacing is a strong suit for this ride. It is all throughout the whole layout, flying through the inversions. The double corkscrew is so whippy, and obviously you just rocket over that ejector hill that I was talking about. For the dislikes, I don't have a lot of dislikes for this ride. One is the operations, because the trains, like when I went there, they had 3 trains, or maybe 4, but they were only running like 2. I'm not sure why. They should at least be running like all 3, because this ride does not have good capacity at all with its trains. And yeah, they really need to improve the operations. I guess it is probably not, the ride-op's fault too much, because again, the trains are just very small, but they should be running 3 trains on this ride, because the line was just outrageous when I went. But anyway, that is, it doesn't really affect your ride experience, I guess, the actual ride, but what does is that this ride has a bad rattle on some of the inversions. For example, the worst point on the ride is in that Cobra roll, like right in the middle of it. You get a nasty rattle while you're going through it. It's not unbearable or anything, but it's definitely noticeable. I do get that on the Norwegian loop also before you go into it, when you're kind of banking outward. So yeah, there is a few moments where you will experience that rattle. However, I do think that this is probably a front row ride. I don't know why, I just think the inversions, and the airtime moments are probably a bit better up there, especially with the vertical lift and stuff. Yeah, I just prefer this ride in the front row. And yeah, the trains aren't anything special. They're kind of bland, just gray with like the Fahrenheit logo on the front car. So not really anything special there. However, the color scheme, like the supports and the track, are excellent. I love the blue supports and the orange track. It reminds me of Icebreaker. So yeah, this is an excellent coaster. It's very underrated, because if it was at pretty much like a lot of other parks, it would get a lot of credit and praise. However, this ride is at Hershey Park, which has one of the best coaster collections in the world. So yeah, it's, gets overshadowed by a lot of the other bigger attractions. However, this is a nice compact coaster. But for my personal score of Fahrenheit, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It is not the best coaster, however, it is a great looping coaster for Hershey Park. So yeah, I think it is not quite, up to the 9 or like 9.5, 10 scale, especially being at Hershey Park. But yeah, it definitely deserves the 8.5 out of 10. And honestly, I'm not sure why Intamin never sold any more of these coasters. However, now that they're coming out with their vertical launch coasters, I can imagine that they are going to be taking the spot of this coaster. And I wonder if in the future maybe they will, like, when this ride gets very old, maybe Hershey will have Intamin come out and refurb this ride and give it a vertical launch. I think that would be great. But yeah, for now this coaster is excellent and I highly recommend it. I think I rank it as the 4th best coaster at Hershey Park, maybe 5th. So yeah, I do recommend this coaster definitely. Honestly, not a lot to complain about, just the rattle and the operations are it. So yeah, you definitely want to ride this ride, I'd say, early. It is towards the back of the park. Just because of that line, it's better to get back there first. However, when RMC Wildcat or Wildcat's Revenge is there, I'm sure that it'll draw a lot of people away from Fahrenheit's line, so it's good to balance that out. Well, anyway, if you guys did enjoy, please like and subscribe. Also comment down below what you think of Fahrenheit. Also comment down below any other video ideas that you'd like to see on the channel. And I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.